The discovery. The merchant vessel Terra's Promise dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Captain Marcus Webb stretched in his command chair and checked the navigation display. They were right on schedule. His ship carried medical supplies, construction equipment, and personal packages for the colonists of Harmony Station, humanity's largest settlement outside the core systems. Marcus had made this run 17 times in the past 3 years. He knew every checkpoint, every orbital pattern, every communication frequency. His daughter Sarah worked in the colony's agricultural research facility. She always met him at the main dock with coffee and stories about her latest projects with modified crop strains. The communications officer, Lieutenant James Park, frowned at his console. His hand moved across the controls, adjusting frequencies and boosting signal strength. Marcus noticed the concern on the young officer's face. "Problem with the comms?" Marcus asked. James shook his head slowly. "I'm not picking up any traffic. No orbital control, no surface broadcasts, nothing from the mining stations. It's completely silent." Marcus felt a cold sensation in his chest. Harmony Station was home to 400,000 people. The system had 6 orbital platforms, mining operations on 2 moons, and constant shuttle traffic between the surface and space. Silence was impossible. "Run a full diagnostic on our systems," Marcus ordered. "Check everything." The crew worked quickly. Every system checked out perfectly. Their communications equipment was functioning exactly as it should. The problem was not with Terra's Promise. The problem was with Harmony Station. Marcus moved to the sensor station where Ensign Rachel Torres was analyzing scanner data. The young woman's hands trembled as she pulled up the readings. What the sensors showed made no sense. The orbital platforms were gone. Not damaged or offline but completely vaporized. Debris fields spread across the space where thriving stations had operated. The scanner detected radiation signatures consistent with plasma weapons, the kind used in military bombardment. "Get me visual confirmation," Marcus said quietly. The main screen switched to optical sensors. The planet Kepler 442b appeared below them, but something was terribly wrong. Massive burn scars covered the continents. The oceans were partially evaporated, creating enormous cloud formations. Atmospheric readings showed toxic particles and superheated gases. Every major population center showed the same signature: complete thermal destruction. Rachel ran the analysis 3 times before she could speak. "Captain, the surface temperature in the impact zones exceeds 3,000 degrees. The colony's main city is gone. The agricultural zones are vaporized. I'm detecting no life signs anywhere on the planet." Marcus gripped the edge of the console. 400,000 people. Scientists, farmers, engineers, children, families. All gone. His daughter Sarah, who had called him just 2 weeks ago excited about a new corn hybrid. Gone. "Find me evidence," Marcus said. His voice sounded strange to his own ears, hollow and distant. "Anything that tells us what happened here." The crew scanned the debris fields. After 20 minutes, they located a data recorder floating among the wreckage. It had been part of the colony's orbital monitoring station. Marcus ordered it brought aboard using the ship's retrieval drones. The data core was damaged but functional. Their technical specialist, Engineer Chin, worked carefully to extract the information. The first file was a video feed timestamped 3 weeks earlier. Marcus played it on the main screen. 8 warships appeared in the recording. They were massive vessels with sleek hulls covered in biometallic armor. Marcus recognized the design from galactic ship registries. These were vessels of the Zaldar Dominion, one of the oldest and most powerful civilizations in the known galaxy. The Zaldar ships took positions around Kepler 442b. There was no communication, no warning, no demands. The warships simply opened fire with orbital plasma cannons. The first strikes hit Harmony City, home to 200,000 colonists. Buildings kilometers tall vanished in seconds, replaced by expanding spheres of superheated destruction. The bombardment continued for 6 hours. The Zaldar targeted every population center, every farm, every research station, every school. They burned the planet systematically and thoroughly. The final transmission came from Governor Elizabeth Hart in the colony's emergency bunker. Her voice was barely audible through static and interference. "This is Governor Hart. The Zaldar have destroyed everything. They never responded to our hails. We tried to surrender. They just kept firing. 400,000 people are dead or dying. Someone has to tell Earth what happened. Someone has to make them answer for this." The recording ended in white noise and fire. Marcus played it again, forcing himself to watch every second. He needed to see it. He needed to remember. His hands clenched into fists as he watched his daughter's city burn. "Send everything to Earth Defense Command," Marcus said. "Every scan, every recording, every piece of data. Mark it Priority Alpha and route it through military channels. And send a copy to the Galactic Council. Let them see what their civilized member species did to unarmed colonists." The transmission streaked toward Earth at faster-than-light speeds. It would arrive in 48 hours. Marcus ordered his ship to remain in orbit and continue documenting the atrocity. There might be more evidence in the debris, more recordings, more proof of what the Zaldar had done. 2 days later, the message reached Earth. Admiral Catherine Stone was reviewing fleet readiness reports in her office at Earth Defense Headquarters when her aide burst through the door without knocking. The man's face was white with shock. "Admiral, you need to see this immediately." Catherine took the data tablet. The first files showed sensor readings from Kepler 442b. Radiation, debris, atmospheric collapse. Then she watched the recording. 8 Zaldar warships appeared and began their methodical extermination of 400,000 human beings. She watched Governor Hart's final message. She watched children running from plasma fire. She watched hospitals and schools vaporize. She watched it all, and something cold and hard settled into her chest. "Convene the Defense Council," Catherine said quietly. "Everyone. Right now." Within 3 hours, Earth's entire military leadership sat in the Emergency Command Center deep beneath Geneva. The recording played on the massive central screen. Nobody spoke while it ran. When it finished, the silence was absolute. General Thomas Riker broke it first. "The Zaldar claim the Kepler 442 system falls within their expansion zone. They say we violated their territorial boundaries." "Did we receive any warning?" Catherine asked. "No, ma'am. We have no record of any communication from the Zaldar about that system. We established Harmony Station 12 years ago. They never objected until now." Admiral Chen Wu pulled up diplomatic records. "The Galactic Council has issued a statement. They express regret for the loss of life. The Zaldar have offered financial compensation and agreed to formal negotiations about boundary lines." Catherine stood and walked to the tactical display. It showed Earth's military assets across human space. 60,000 warships, from small destroyers to massive dreadnoughts. The largest fleet humanity had ever assembled. "How long to achieve full mobilization?" she asked. General Riker checked his data. 72 hours to recall all ships and prepare for deployment." "What are your orders, Admiral?" Catherine looked at the faces around the table. These were people she had served with for decades. They had built Earth's defense forces together. They had protected humanity's expansion into space. Now they faced a decision that would define their species' future in the galaxy. "The Zaldar killed 400,000 of our people without warning or provocation," Catherine said. "The Galactic Council offers us money in negotiations. They treat mass murder as a simple border dispute. They expect us to follow their rules, accept their justice, and move on." "What do you propose?" asked Admiral Patricia Foster. "Equal measure," Catherine said simply. "The Zaldar took 400,000 of ours. We take 400,000 of theirs. Then we stop." The room fell into shocked silence. General Riker spoke carefully. "Admiral, that means targeting civilian populations. That violates every galactic warfare convention." "They violated it first," Catherine replied. "And the Council did nothing. They offered us credits and boundary negotiations. They valued human lives at the cost of a diplomatic settlement." Admiral Chen leaned forward. "If we do this, every species in the galaxy will turn against us. They'll call us barbarians. They might unite to destroy us." Catherine turned to face the Council. "Then let them try. But they will understand one absolute truth. Human lives are not negotiable. Attack our civilians and we will respond in kind. No negotiations, no exceptions, no mercy." "The Zaldar have 40,000 ships," General Riker said. "Most are scattered across their territory, but they can mobilize." "We have 60,000, Catherine said. "We hit them before they can organize a defense. We target their colonies, their population centers, their civilians. We show them exactly what they did to us." Admiral Foster closed her eyes. When she opened them, there were tears on her face. "My sister lived on Harmony Station with her 2 sons. They were 7 and 9 years old. If we do this, we become what they fear. We become what they made us," Catherine said quietly. "They chose to teach us this lesson. Now we teach them what happens when you murder 400,000 humans." The vote was unanimous. Earth would mobilize its entire fleet. They would cross into Zaldar space and deliver justice in the only language the galaxy seemed to understand. Overwhelming force. The mobilization orders went out across human space. Every military vessel received recall commands. Crews were summoned from leave. Weapons systems were armed and tested. Supply chains activated to support the largest military operation in human history. News of Harmony Station's destruction spread through human colonies like wildfire. There were no protests against the military response. No calls for restraint or negotiation. Just cold, focused determination. The Zaldar had crossed a line that could not be uncrossed. At the Galactic Council Station, emergency sessions continued without pause. Representatives from dozens of species watched in growing alarm as 60,000 human warships began moving toward Zaldar territory. The Zaldar High Command issued confident statements about their military superiority and proud warrior traditions. They promised to teach humanity the price of challenging and advanced civilization. Their intelligence analysts were less certain. The human fleet was massive, well-coordinated, and moving with clear purpose toward Zaldar colony worlds. Ambassador David Martinez addressed the Galactic Council. His voice was calm and factual as he delivered Earth's message. The Zaldar Dominion murdered 400,000 human civilians without warning or justification. We brought this crime to the Council. You offered us money and boundary negotiations. You failed to deliver justice. Now humanity will deliver its own. The Council erupted in demands for restraint and threats of intervention. David waited until the chamber fell silent. Then he delivered the final warning. Any species that interferes with Earth's military operations will be considered hostile. We will redirect our entire fleet against them. Choose carefully. The human fleet continued its journey toward Zaldar space. 60,000 warships moving in perfect formation. The galaxy watched and wondered if humanity understood what it was about to do. But Admiral Catherine Stone understood perfectly. They had tried peace. They had followed the rules. They had trusted in galactic justice. Now they would show the galaxy what happened when you killed 400,000 humans and expected them to accept it with negotiations and credits. The Zaldar were about to learn a hard truth. Humanity remembered its dead, and humanity always paid its debts. The reckoning. The human fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Zaldar space. 60,000 warships dropped into normal space in perfect synchronization, their formation spreading across millions of kilometers. Admiral Catherine Stone stood on the bridge of the Dreadnought Remembrance, named in honor of the fallen colonists of Harmony Station. The tactical display showed the entire fleet arranged in attack formations. Carrier groups protected by destroyer screens. Dreadnoughts positioned for maximum firepower. Support vessels clustered in defended positions. Every ship was ready, every crew prepared for what came next. All vessels report ready status, Commander Lisa Grant announced from the communications station. Fleet is holding position awaiting your orders, Admiral. Catherine studied the tactical map. Intelligence had identified 7 major Zaldar colony worlds within striking range. Each hosted between 50,000 and 80,000 Zaldar civilians. She had chosen the target carefully. New Zaldar Prime, home to 75,000 Zaldar families. A thriving world with cities, farms, research centers, and schools. Just like Harmony Station had been. Send a message to the Zaldar High Command on all frequencies, Catherine ordered. Text and audio, make sure they cannot miss it. Commander Grant nodded and opened the channel. Catherine spoke clearly, her words recorded and transmitted across Zaldar space. This is Admiral Catherine Stone of the Earth Defense Fleet. 3 weeks ago, 8 Zaldar warships destroyed Harmony Station without warning or provocation. 400,000 human civilians were killed. Men, women, and children burned from orbit while your commanders ignored their pleas for mercy. The Galactic Council offered us credits and negotiations. We rejected their false justice. Today humanity delivers real justice. You took 400,000 of ours. We will take 400,000 of yours. Then we will stop. This is your only warning. The message transmitted, Catherine turned to her weapons officer. Target New Zaldar Prime. All dreadnoughts prepare orbital bombardment. Fire on my command. On the surface of New Zaldar Prime, civil defense sirens began wailing across the major cities. The Zaldar had detected the human fleet, and panic spread through the population. Governor Kelvar activated the planetary defense grid, but he knew it was inadequate. The systems were designed to repel pirates and small raiding forces, not 60,000 warships. Kelvar opened communication channels to the Zaldar military headquarters. This is New Zaldar Prime requesting immediate military support. We have 60,000 human vessels in orbit. They are preparing to attack. We need reinforcements now. High Commander Talsik sat in the war room of the Zaldar Dominion military complex. Around him, his senior officers monitored the situation with growing concern. The human fleet had appeared with shocking speed, and their numbers were overwhelming. The humans are bluffing, Talsik announced confidently. No civilized species target civilian populations. This is intimidation. They want us to panic and offer better terms. We will not be manipulated by primitive emotions. His intelligence officer, Subcommander Relketh, stepped forward hesitantly. High Commander, I have analyzed human historical data. Their species has a documented pattern of total warfare. When sufficiently provoked, they do not follow conventional rules of engagement. Talsik waved dismissively. Ancient history from before they joined galactic civilization. They have been part of the Council for 60 years. They understand how modern warfare operates. Limited conflicts, negotiated settlements, preservation of infrastructure. The humans will posture and threaten, but they will not commit such barbarism. In orbit above New Zaldar Prime, Catherine received confirmation that all weapon systems were locked on target. She thought about Governor Hart's final message, the terror in that woman's voice as she watched her world burn. She thought about her own niece who had lived on Harmony Station, a 12-year-old girl who loved music and wanted to be a doctor. All ships, Catherine said quietly. Fire. 200 dreadnoughts opened fire simultaneously. Plasma beams and kinetic projectiles rained down on New Zaldar Prime. The planetary shields lasted 8 seconds before collapsing under the overwhelming barrage. The first strikes hit the capital city of Kalmar, home to 200,000 Zaldar. Buildings vaporized. Streets turned to molten glass. The atmosphere ignited in massive firestorms. Within minutes, Kalmar ceased to exist. The human fleet adjusted targeting and began methodically destroying every population center on the planet. Governor Kelvar watched from his command bunker as his world died. He transmitted desperate pleas to the human fleet, offering surrender, begging for mercy. The humans did not respond. They simply continued firing with mechanical precision. At the Galactic Council station, alarms blared across every monitoring system. The council members rushed to the emergency chamber and watched in horror as the humans executed their threat exactly as promised. New Zaldar Prime was being systematically destroyed. Ambassador David Martinez sat calmly in the human delegation box. Other species representatives screamed questions and accusations at him. He waited until the chamber fell silent. We warned you, David said simply. We told you exactly what would happen. The Zaldar murdered our civilians. We promised equal measure. We are delivering it. The Centauri Prime Minister stood, his voice shaking with outrage. This is genocide. This violates every principle of civilized warfare. The Council must intervene immediately. Where was this intervention when Harmony Station burned? David asked coldly. Where were these principles when 400,000 humans died? You offered us money and told us to accept it. Now you see what happens when you treat human lives as negotiable. The Valkyrie ambassador activated her communicator. I am ordering my fleet to assemble. We cannot allow this atrocity to continue. David stood and looked directly at her. Admiral Stone has clear orders. Any species that interferes will become our next target. Your home world has 3 billion Valkyrie citizens. Ask yourself if you want to risk them. The Valkyrie ambassador slowly sat back down. Around the chamber, other species representatives exchanged nervous glances. The humans had 60,000 warships and had just demonstrated their willingness to use them without hesitation. High Commander Talsik watched the destruction of New Zaldar Prime on the tactical displays. His confidence had evaporated. His senior officers stared at the screens in shock as human weapons erased their colony world. Assemble the fleet, Talsik ordered. Every available ship. We must counterattack immediately. Subcommander Relketh checked the tactical reports. High Commander, we have 18,000 ships within range. The rest are scattered across our territory and will take weeks to assemble. The humans have overwhelming numerical superiority. Then we negotiate, Talsik said. Contact the human fleet. Offer reparations, territory concessions, whatever they want. The communication went out, but the human response was simple and devastating. 400,000. We will stop when the count is even. The bombardment of New Zaldar Prime continued for 6 hours. When it ended, the colony world was a burning wasteland. 75,000 Zaldar civilians were dead. The human fleet immediately moved to the next target. Over the following week, humanity's warships visited 6 more Zaldar colony worlds. Each bombardment was precise and calculated. The fleet destroyed population centers until the death toll reached the required number, then immediately ceased fire and moved on. There was no rage, no excess, no random destruction. Just cold mathematical justice. The Zaldar fleet attempted to intercept the humans twice. Both engagements ended in decisive Zaldar defeats. Earth's ships were newer, better armed, and vastly more numerous. The Zaldar lost 3,000 vessels trying to protect their colonies. It made no difference. The human fleet continued its mission with relentless efficiency. After the 4th colony fell, High Commander Talsik sent a formal surrender offer to Admiral Stone. He promised full reparations, territorial concessions, and formal apologies. Catherine read the message and deleted it without response. Surrenders were not part of the equation. Only the number mattered, 400,000. The Galactic Council convened emergency sessions daily. They debated intervention, sanctions, and diplomatic solutions. But every discussion ended the same way. The humans had made their position clear. Interfere and become the next target. No species was willing to risk their home worlds to stop Earth's campaign. On the 8th day, the human fleet completed its final strike against the colony world of Talresh. The bombardment stopped precisely when the casualty count reached 400,000. Not one more, not one less. Admiral Stone broadcast a message across all frequencies. Justice has been served. The debt is paid. 400,000 Zaldar civilians for 400,000 human civilians. Equal measure. Earth's fleet is withdrawing from Zaldar space. This conflict is over. The fleet turned and began the journey back to human territory. Behind them, 7 Zaldar worlds lay in ruins. The Zaldar Dominion, once proud and confident, was shattered. Their military was decimated, their people terrified, their leadership discredited. High Commander Talsik was removed from command and arrested. The new Zaldar leadership sent formal apologies to Earth and established new protocols for territorial disputes. They would never again mistake human restraint for weakness. At the Galactic Council, the aftermath of humanity's campaign dominated every discussion. The other species had watched in shock as Earth demonstrated a level of ruthlessness they thought had been eliminated from civilized warfare millennia ago. Ambassador David Martinez addressed the full Council Assembly. His speech was broadcast across the galaxy. 60 years ago, humanity joined this council in good faith. We learned your languages, followed your laws, and adopted your customs. We believed in galactic justice and civilized resolution of conflicts. Then the Zaldar murdered 400,000 of our people, and you offered us credits in negotiations. You treated human lives as if they had a price tag. David paused and looked across the chamber. We tried your way. We brought our case before this council. You failed us. So we showed you humanity's way. We do not negotiate with the murderers of our children. We do not accept money for the ashes of our families. We deliver equal justice, and we do it with absolute commitment. The chamber was silent. David continued. Let this be a lesson that every species in this galaxy remembers. Human civilians are not targets. Human colonies are not negotiating chips. If you attack our people without cause, we will respond in kind. We will not hesitate. We will not hold back. We will make you feel exactly what we felt, and we will count every single life until the balance is even. Earth remains committed to peaceful cooperation with all species who respect these boundaries. But understand this clearly, we will never again rely solely on council justice. We will never again accept that human lives can be purchased with apologies and reparations. Cross this line, and you will face the full weight of humanity's wrath. David sat down. The council chamber remained silent for a long moment. Then one by one species representatives began to speak. They condemned Earth's actions, demanded sanctions, and called for restrictions on human military expansion. But underneath the official outrage there was something else: fear. Admiral Catherine Stone stood on the bridge of the Remembrance as the fleet entered human space. They had accomplished their mission. 400,000 Zaldar civilians for 400,000 human civilians. The equation was balanced. But Catherine felt no satisfaction, no triumph. She had ordered the deaths of hundreds of thousands of beings. She had turned Earth's military into an instrument of calculated vengeance. She had proven that humanity could be just as ruthless as any species in the galaxy. Commander Grant approached quietly. Admiral, Earth Defense Command is requesting your status report. Catherine nodded. Tell them mission accomplished. The fleet is returning home. Justice has been served. She looked at the stars ahead. Earth had changed its position in the galaxy forever. They were no longer the naive newcomers hoping to fit into established order. They were a force that had demonstrated their willingness to cross lines that other species would not. The galaxy would remember Harmony Station. They would remember the human fleet that appeared with 60,000 warships and delivered mathematical justice. They would remember that humanity's patience had limits, and those limits had prices. Catherine thought about the 400,000 Zaldar civilians who had died because their leaders made a fatal miscalculation. She thought about the 400,000 humans who died first, the innocents who never got a chance to run or hide or say goodbye. War had rules in the galaxy. Civilized species followed conventions about acceptable targets and proportional responses. Earth had followed those rules until the rules failed to protect their people. Then they wrote new rules, simple and absolute, equal measure, no exceptions, no mercy. The fleet continued toward Earth. Behind them, the Zaldar rebuilt their shattered worlds. Across the galaxy, military planners revised their assessments of human capabilities and human resolve. The diplomatic channels buzzed with new protocols for engaging with Earth's government. Humanity had delivered its message. The galaxy had received it. And in the cold mathematics of interstellar politics, a new equation had been established. 400,000 equals 400,000. Not credits, not territory, not apologies. Lives for lives, and the balance always paid in full. Admiral Catherine Stone would carry the weight of those deaths for the rest of her life. But she would also carry the certainty that no species would ever again casually murder human civilians and expect Earth to accept it with diplomatic negotiations. The line had been drawn in the ashes of 7 worlds, and that line would hold. The galaxy went silent when humanity's warship arrived. The battlefield shook under the weight